Welcome to Business Live Extra, the show that focuses on business leaders and entrepreneurs. Today, we feature a rising star in the local telecommunications industry with a strong record of service to the community. He's an experienced operations director and sales distribution strategist. With more than 20 years in the telecommunications industry, he has a track record of success in capturing market share and delivering on profit and loss performance growth. He's been leading the 1,200 plus team at the Jamaican arm of Liberty Latin America since 2017. Our guest today is Mr. Stephen Price, Country Manager for Flow Jamaica, CW Business Jamaica. Stephen,
hey,
welcome to the show.
No, hi, Mark. I'm happy to be here.
It's great.
Pleasure.
Well, let's do a little COVID meet and greet, you know?
Definitely.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
I think you're probably the tallest guest, tallest guy we've had on the show.
No, they must have been tall.
So Stephen, you're known as Pricey in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. How'd you get the name?
I think it was just out of college. I mean, I went to CAST, now known as UTEX. so probably dated myself. And I guess just some of my friends used to just call me that, and I just add on to the last name, and that's how it has been since. So staff call me, friends call me, you know, so it's an affectionate name, I guess, you know.
And is it a global name? Is it just in kind of close friend circles?
I think it's more in the circles and those who are close to me, like my management team or otherwise, who would call me that, you know. And
it transcends in the office as well?
It transcends in the office as well, believe it or not, you know.
Okay. And how'd you get started? You know, what was your education, your school life? Where'd you get going?
I think I got going at St. George's College. I mean, I went to a prep school called Alpha Kinder Prep. It's now closed down. It was part of the whole Alpha school group of schools. But I went to St. George's College.
So you're that of a legend there. You closed the school.
No, it was unfortunate those days. Some private schools just couldn't make it after, you know, because of just the lack of funding. But I went to St. George's College. That's my alma mater, AMDG. I'm a St. George's College Knight forever. So that's where I guess a lot of my formative years were in terms of molding me into the person who I am, you know. Our motto there is ad majorem Dei gloriam, to the greater glory of God, all things you do, right? And really that is something that has kept me through life and has just made me a better man in terms of everything that I've done and decisions I've made and just what I'm about, you know. Played Manning Cup there, well, benched Manning Cup there. Once I played, you know, was on...
What position?
I played centre half, you know, I was with Coach Neverbertis Bell,
okay.
But I benched for the most part. I mean, I had people like Andy Williams, Ali Rose, Gregory Simmons, those big ballers back in the day. So there was no space for poor little Stephen Price on that team.
And what, you know, coming to your brother, Andrew Price, was he a baller in his time?
No, he was a baller. I mean, he's Triple Cup champions, 83, 84, you know. And he's one of probably my mentors in life, you know, somebody I do look up to. You know, so left St. George's College. I went to CAST, dated myself. I did business administration there, you know, and did that quite well. Actually majored in finance, believe it or not.
Right.
So, because I thought I would have a life in banking. My mother was a career banker. She worked with Scotiabank at the time. So always thought that my career was going to be in finance, believe it or not. So telecoms, how did that happen?
Right.
You know?
And going back to STGC, are you still involved with the school? Are you an active member of the alumni? What's the whole
I'm definitely
vibe like?
Still involved in the school. I still help out with the Manning Cup program as well. I mean, I help Bertis on occasion, anything that he needs, educationally, etc., those things for the kids. But I also participate in anything that the school actually does. A recent project I did a little mentorship program where, you know, took a couple of the youngsters out, where we had a really frank conversation, just letting them know my story, letting them know how I got here, you know, because I wasn't the perfect student there, you know. I remember one time where there's a teacher, Miss Virgo, who taught me Caribbean history. I was sculling class for a little bit, you know, and Miss Virgo went down to the bank to tell my mother. Amazing story, you know. And my mother set me straight, and believe me, it's been just like that since.
since that time.
Yeah, man.
And you know, look, Andrew, yourself, where did the genes come from? Because you look at Andrew now, you say he's a champion baller, everything yourself. I mean, you guys are big guys.
We're big guys.
Is it from your dad?
I think it's from my mother's side of the family, you know.
Okay.
And while Andrew excelled in football, I actually took a different path. So when I was at Cast, I actually started playing rugby, right?
Okay.
And when I started playing rugby, I saw, well, this is a sport I could really do, right? Actually started playing for the national team, became the captain of the Jamaica national team.
Okay.
Actually played for the West Indies, the first ever West Indies rugby team. I played on that team. We did tours to the UK, to London Sevens, to the Chile Sevens. We went to the Lisbon Sevens in Portugal.
You went around the Caribbean to like the Turks and Cayman, like
yeah,
different
man,
trips.
did those Caribbean championships and all that stuff. But I mean, rugby has also been quite an integral part of my life as well, believe it or not.
Okay. And you're mentioning, you know, Cast and your college years.
Yeah.
I mean, what were some of the big takeaways from your college years in making you into Stephen Price?
I think one of the things was I didn't do well at A-levels, right? You know, and for a lot of people in life, it would be a dead end after that. I managed to get into to Cast. And I think just being the brother school of UA and most of my friends having gone to UA, I was able to chart a path for myself without friends, you know, making new friends, making a new story for myself. And I think it was a chance for me to start over, a chance for me to make things right and just make a success of myself. And you know the usual thing, you don't want to make your mother disappointed, right? So you have to make sure you stick to it. You have to make sure, because it wasn't easy, you know.
At that point, was your mom quite, you know, like a lot of Jamaican moms? Was she the kind of disciplinarian, the matriarch of the family?
She was the matriarch of the family. And
Okay.
I came from a single parent home, really.
You did? Okay.
My dad and my mom split up pretty early.
Okay.
And really, she was the chief breadwinner for the family, you know. So we knew the value of actually working for everything that you have, you know. We didn't have to depend on student loans. My mother sacrificed. She worked at the bank, and she also did floral arrangements, you know, and that's how she took care of all of us, you know.
So she had the side hustles going on.
Yeah, man.
You know, we talk about it so much now, and millennials know, but it's coming from some time.
She had the side hustles going back then, you know, and she did flowers for everybody at the bank, and then her clientele grew because people knew her from doing floral arrangement at the church, and she got various companies to do. So I mean, it was good to see the value of that, you know. Obviously, I'm no green thumb, right? So that was not necessarily my path in life, but I recognized that you really had to put your shoulder to the wheel, you know. I mean, we all know the Jim Collins book in terms of good to great,
yes.
you know, in terms of just creating that kind of flywheel. It's something I've just always been a mantra for me, you know. You have to work hard. You have to really put in hours if you want success. And
Stephen, you have two siblings. So your mom was raising all three of you single-handedly.
Was raising all three of us, yeah. And the thing is, we didn't turn out too bad. I mean, my brother, he got a scholarship. He went to FIU, you know, and excelled at FIU. And Andrew worked in industry, worked with Ray Neville. He recently went away with the Reggae Girls to France as the assistant coach because football is his love. And he's one of those mentors for me because the reality for it is Andrew dedicated his life to football, you know. He coached Boys Town for years.
Yes.
And he even got a national honor. He has an OD officer class from the government. And I'm just so proud of what he does on a day-to-day basis just in the world of football in terms of what he does. It's just an incredible path for me to see what stick-to-itiveness, what dedication, and what integrity is about in terms of how you do and apply yourself to your...
Where do you fall in the food chain now? Are you the youngest?
I'm the last one.
Oh, you are?
My sister, Cheryl, she works in the whole Butch Stewart world of sandals, ATL. You know, I'm very proud of her. I mean, she also got a scholarship back then in the days and went to Nicosia, Cyprus to study hotel management and catering. And, you know, we all make sure that the next generation after us, that we create a legacy for them so that they may follow, you know.
So did you get a scholarship?
No scholarship.
So is it, I mean, in a way, do you feel like you picked up on their learnings and maybe you have the most common sense and
I think I picked up
street sense?
on their learnings. I think I had a more independent path, you know, because while I grew up through high school, they weren't necessarily around because they were at school overseas, you know. So it was just me and my mom for a period,
Right.
you know. I mean, I remember going through Hurricane Gilbert, myself and my mother at the house, you know, and that's a terrifying period in anybody's life. But it just gained me a lot of independence then, you know, because didn't have a father around and just was the man of the house, quasi man of the house for my mother.
So flash forward now, you graduate CAST, you finish, you know, your schooling years. What happens? What's your first job?
Well, my first job was actually another person who really looked out for my career. He's now passed, Errol K. Miller.
Okay.
He gave me a job in public relations. It was a summer job I got initially, right, after school, and said, boy, Lord, where will I get a job after this? I started working with them, and there was a time when, for instance, like, you didn't have emails going around at the time, so the company bulletins they used to print on foolscap paper, and I used to be responsible for printing and helping with distribution and that kind of stuff in the holiday job. I did such a good job then that they allowed me to stay on and did some more projects, you know. I did projects with Carmen Ballet in credit and collections, and then I worked in query operations, and then finally, we formed in Jamaica the first actual real call center business processing
From as far back as then?
In 1996, I would say.
Okay.
And I was a part of that journey.
And that would have been a BPO business, or
That would have been
just
the
a more
Jamaican call center, but it was the first real seated call center like of its type in the country.
It's like an indigenous version.
Yeah, man, an indigenous version. You know,
Okay.
because it was coming from operator services all the way down from which had about maybe 800 persons across the island.
When you joined
All
your
the way to
your
200.
first job, Stephen, is it called K&I Wireless in that time, or is that
It
no
would have been called
TOJ?
Telecommunications of Jamaica at the
So
time.
it's TOJ at that point
It was
in time.
TOJ at the time.
Okay.
And then, obviously, the deal with the government took place, and then Cable and Wireless took over
Wow.
and bought the
So you're
entire
part of
company.
serious Jamaican history.
Yeah, man, serious Jamaican
All right.
history.
All right. We're going to get back to that, Stephen. And we take our first break on Business Live Extra. We're talking to Mr. Stephen Price, Country Manager for Flow Jamaica and CW Business Jamaica. More of his story when we return. Welcome back to Business Live Extra. We're talking to Mr. Stephen Price, Country Manager, Flow Jamaica and CW Business Jamaica. Under his leadership, Flow has made significant strides to enable almost island-wide access to telecom service. The company has been focused on bridging the digital gap in rural communities. Stephen's vision is to power Jamaica on a fully fiber high-speed network. In that regard, Project Blue Home was launched as an approach to network rehabilitation and modernization. We're talking to Mr. Stephen Price. Stephen, welcome back.
Well, thank you.
You know, you lead a team that is a massive size. You know, so many Jamaicans don't, get to do that privilege. 1,200 members.
No, we say 1,200, but actually we touch a lot more because we have a whole core of contractors and third parties. So it's more upwards in the region of about 1,800, believe it or not.
Okay, and how? So let's say 1,800, close to 2,000 persons. How you made this huge jump from, CAST, college, boom, leading 2,000 Jamaicans.
I think it was a story of progression. It wasn't a gold spoon given to me at any point. I had to work really, really hard. At Cable and Wireless, actually back in the day, in the 90s, I worked with a gentleman by the name of Keith Smith. He currently heads e-learning. And Keith has been one of those mentors who really looked out for my career. Tough boss, but I learned some valuable lessons in those early days. And it was in 2000 that he asked me whether or not I was interested in doing something fabulous and revolutionary in life. I said, really? What can be more revolutionary than what we're doing? We're in telecoms business here. I said, there's a new telecoms player coming. And he offered me a role with them, and I moved over in 2000 to head up their customer experience. I was actually the 12th employee for that company, and believe it or not, we continued to grow, and it was just fabulous growth in the company that you actually know now. I then left there.
Which company was that?
That company was Digicel.
Okay.
That company was Digicel.
So you were at Digicel for, I mean, how many years were you at Digicel for?
I would say I was at Digicel the first stint. I would have been there from 2000 to 2004. ID number 12, I can't remember it well. And then I came back in 2007 and stayed up until 2010.
Yeah.
So it was a real long journey there. I mean, I worked with them, head up customer experience, and then went on their Caribbean rollout team and did the launches in St. Lucia and St. Vincent. Also did a launch in Barbados, where I was operations manager for down there, working with a gentleman by the name of Donald O'Shaughnessy. And that was a really good experience. It came to a point when I came back, I said, oh, do I want to stay in telecoms? And I got a call from somebody who's a very close friend now, a gentleman by the name of Chris Deering. And Chris said, Stephen, do you want to come over and work with us at Cricket World Cup? I said, sports? Boy, this is the ideal job for me, right? So I took the role and started working with Chris, and Chris allowed me to lead the entire commercial program. So at the time, which was back in 2007, it was the most successful commercial program ever run in Cricket World Cup history.
Okay.
We made upwards of $52 million US through the entire tournament, and that was a landmark that we gave a platform for the West Indies Cricket Board to grow from.
And you know, mentally, what was it? Was it you know, you wanted a break from telecom, or just an opportunity?
I think I wanted a break from telecoms. I wanted to see what the sports and entertainment world was like. It's always a glitz and glamour kind of world. And I was still young. I said, you know, do I want to write my story in telecoms for the rest of my life? Let's try some other things. And it was very interesting. I mean, it was a time-bound event. You had a deadline that was not going to move.
Right.
So you had to get everything right and ready for that. And we were prepared and had a fabulous team. I mean, salute to the entire Cricket World Cup team that really executed the event. I had a fabulous team as well who worked and supported me. And I think one of the key things and lessons I learned back then was how to choose a winning team. And I think in my recruitment, in just the people that we brought together, especially on my squad, we were the most amazing team back then. We loved what we did. We would eat, sleep, and breathe cricket. You know, it was literally like that. And I think it's one of the things I carried forward into the rest of my career.
Would you say, you know, one would say you and Chris's management styles are different. Yeah. Would you say actually that was a good thing? And it was almost like a yin and yang combination?
It was a yin and yang combination. I mean, because I'm a lot more structured and I'm a lot more direct and focused. I'm not even describing Chris, but Chris is the, you know Chris. Chris is the ultimate marketer. I mean, if you want something marketed in Jamaica, you can go to Chris there and he's going to sell ice to an Eskimo, right? I mean, and he was really good from that perspective in terms of putting that wrapping on the entire Cricket World Cup, and just working with him through that period was good.
And in hindsight, Stephen, has that been your only time outside of the telecom sector?
That has actually been my only time outside of the telecom sector. I've done other projects outside of that, but I can come to that in a little bit. I left there and Digicel asked me to come back. I was recruited again as the operations director for the Jamaica business. After that, I was promoted to group customer care director for the Caribbean and Central America, which I did for a time until the global recession came around. Then we had to make some tough choices as a business and actually downsized my role out of the business, believe it or not. Went on to work in group procurement programs, just helping arrange that area and work with a guy by the name of Joel Riley then, who we helped to continue to shape the procurement thrust for the business as it continued to grow and expand in Central America as well as in the South Pacific. 2010 came to a point where I said, you know, maybe I should try something else. And I had been thinking about it for a while. I stopped and I said there was a challenge that was out there for me. I met with Chris, daring again, right? And Chris said, Stephen, we're going to do something revolutionary at the time with Lime. That's where the brand had changed to. You want to come along for the journey. I know you've had experiences right across the globe. Let's try and do something special here in Jamaica, and let's see if we can rebuild and make sure that this brand is something.
And this was a time of like major culture change and a lot of work on the
major culture change. We're still shifting out of the old monopoly days, you know, and trying to really put a whole new thrust. So,
and at this point, Stephen, what, you know, being not many persons, you know, even globally can really just stick in a sector so long. You know, what would you say really, you know, was making you, or even to this day, what makes you tick, you know, as a businessman
I think for me,
in corporate?
Right now, I have two main whys, and my main whys is definitely my customer as well as my employees. But outside of that, I thought in my life that I wanted to make a difference on a national level. I wanted my career to mean something, not only monetarily, not only professionally in terms of accolades, but I wanted to do something that really impacted the lives of Jamaicans right across the length and breadth of the country. And I thought this was an obvious vehicle that I was good at, I was okay with, and I think that I could continue to make a real difference there and continue to shape the dialogue and shape the conversation as we move forward to the future. Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah, so it's been a really, really interesting journey, you know. It's been some pivots, some turns.
And what about the standard answer, the traditional answer, making some money?
Yeah, I said that. I said outside of that, you know. Obviously, you wanted to really be at the top of your food chain.
And do you find it's changed over the last decade, or I think it's similar now to what it was in 2010 with Lime?
I think it has changed quite a bit. The culture has changed, and you have to understand that we've also gone through almost 2 mergers, right? Because we've actually merged with Columbus. That was the first thing in the acquisition with Telecommunications, and then we were all bought as a business by Liberty Latin America. So the culture has continued to shift, and it's been a shift for the better. I think over the last 3 years.
Those mergers, have you found it's made the corporate culture or the environment move faster with each merger?
It has helped it to move faster, you know, and what we've been able to accomplish. And I take it back 5 years because I didn't do this all myself. I mean, Gary Sinclair ran a fabulous business, and working for him allowed me to also grow. And he's also been one of those mentors who's looked out for me in my career. And I give a lot of thanks to him for just how he allowed me to lead. Gary is not the micromanager. He has a saying that, you know, you never buy a dog and bark, right? So I had to do my barking, and I had to make sure that I did everything to the best of my abilities, and he allowed me to succeed.
Is he still in the business or the group today?
He is still in the business. He's actually my peer now because actually he's running the Northern cluster, while I run Jamaica as a cluster on its own. So he's always there for constant advice, constant guidance, and he's actually based here in Jamaica running the Northern cluster. Okay. So he's in charge of Bahamas, Turks, all the way down to Antigua and Montserrat. So he's always that quiet voice there that always helps in the background. But I mean, it's been a journey. I mean, we've changed and transformed so much as a business. It is not the same business that I joined. It's a totally different business, a totally different culture. Everybody's now used to winning again, you know. The growth that we've had over the past 3 to 4 years has been incredible. Year on year, we've delivered growth for Liberty Latin America, for which we can be proud of. And it's been on the backs and the shoulders of everybody in that organization is pulling together as one team. You know, I mean, even leading into COVID right now, I mean, everybody would say, Stephen, you know, this is the worst period ever. I mean, and for any businessman there, you're looking out and you're saying, okay, COVID is here, all right? My entire hospitality business is all shut, right? So you know you're going to lose that. You're going to lose the attendant businesses around that. But I think we approached this whole period with 3 C's: compassion, collaboration, and communication. And compassion, understanding that everybody's going through the same thing, right? I had to make sure that I kept my teams aware of everything that we did, especially during this period. we had to collaborate because the ideas weren't going to come from me alone. We're all going to either make it or break it together. And constant communication. Every single week we had to be speaking in our people's faces just to make sure they understood that this is what we need to do. We need to readjust the organization, make sure that we reset for this period, prepare ourselves for a strong recovery, and put in place all the things that we need to do right now so that 2021, 2022 will be greater.
We're going to get right back to that. We're talking to Mr. Stephen Price. We'll hear more about the Flow experience when we come back. Welcome back to Business Live Extra. We're talking to Mr. Stephen Price, Country Manager of Flow Jamaica and CW Business Jamaica. He's an advocate for stellar customer service. His work has resulted in faster install and repair times, as well as improved connectivity for residential and business customers. He has also overseen the introduction of customer value to support Jamaicans. Let's continue our talk with Mr. Stephen Price. Stephen, welcome back.
Thank you.
Project Blue, and just like data, fiber, everything around the island. We're going to get to a time when all rural communities have it, or is it, not realistic, profitability-wise, and so forth?
It is quite realistic. I think there are a couple of things that have to happen. I think 3 years ago, we drew the line in the sand and said that no other development that we do in Jamaica will be done without fiber. And we've started on a really strong path to continue to build out across Jamaica, even hitting more rural communities with fiber than even our actual city communities, I'd say over the past 4 or 5 years, we have actually done projects to really touch about 750 communities right across Jamaica in terms of either adding new communities or giving them additional speeds. This year in particular, we had to really respond. And what we did was we went on after COVID hit us, we knew that more and more persons across the country were going to need internet connectivity. So we started a project to build over 160 communities, giving them internet connectivity. That translates somewhere around, I'd say, 60,000 plus homes that we've actually given higher speeds and given high-speed fiber. And in the next 3 years, we plan to complete the entire island. Jamaica is in a peculiar place, Mark, and what I will say to you is the conversation out there is that there is internet connectivity anywhere. As a business, we pass over 650,000 homes in Jamaica. There are about, say, circa 900,000 households. So there is connectivity everywhere, but even on that footprint, we're just about 50% penetrated.
And what is it like, Stephen? I mean, is it in the simplistic terms? Is it you still have to put up like towers and satellites, or is it just kind of putting on a plug-in somewhere? I mean, what's it like if you're in one of these rural areas?
In these rural areas, you really don't have anything other than power, and the fact is, we're trying to reach them, but just have an understanding of how we sit in the global space. Our GDP before COVID was somewhere around, per capita was somewhere around 5,000 US thereabouts, right? Having an 18% contraction, we know exactly what that share of wallet goes down to. So there's an affordability problem in the country. We have some of the lowest broadband rates across the entire Caribbean and Latin America. Hands down, we provide cheap connectivity, but our people still can't afford it. What has to happen now?
This is the cost of data.
Yeah, man, the cost of data. And even on top of that, we actually do cover 96% of the population with LTE. So mobile data is available right across the length and breadth of the country. What we have to do if we want to get fixed broadband in more places, we have to really engage in public-private partnership. There are things which the telcos contribute to in terms of USF, those kind of things. We have to find a way to unlock those kind of funds to not only build Wi-Fi access points, but also build to all these other rural communities. Let's say I give you a costing, right? Say it costs me right now somewhere around $250 US or $300 to pass every single home that I build. In some communities, because of the less population density, it can go to upwards of $700 to pass a home. I am willing to pay my fair share in terms of getting to these homes, in terms of what it would normally cost. But the gap, what we're looking to is seeing how we can work with international partners, work with the government, to see how we can reach more homes faster.
So why, I don't want to compare Jamaica and India, but in India, fine, you might have a billionaire or somebody, so I don't want to compare the two.
Correct.
But in India, you just have straight data companies. I mean, do you think in Jamaica we'll get to that point where we might just have a data company that does these kind of cheap subscriptions, or is that something maybe Flow can look to offer?
I think we're already there, I mean, I'm seeing it from the perspective, just really, when you look at the rates and you look at it in hard currency terms, somebody can get an entire 3 gigs of data right now for less than $1 US.
Right now.
Right now, in terms of for mobile.
Like from Flow.
Exactly. So we are bringing value to the customers on a day-to-day basis. It's quite cheap to access data.
For 3 gigs, I mean, can I watch Netflix for 2 hours a day for like a month, or is that?
You wouldn't be able to watch for a month, but I mean, we sized in such chunks that is affordable to each pocket.
Like
so we
for
do
education.
For 3 days, 2 days, and we give like 14 days, 7 days for educational packages.
Okay.
But we make sure to make it as affordable as possible. And what we do as well, Mark, is we don't only give a bundle of just data. We give a bundle of voice, because voice allows people also to make money in Jamaica. We know we still are at a voice, we're a voice market heavily, even though the global pandemic has actually caused a huge shift. And when people ask me, Stephen, boy, what's happening with the network? I mean, we have grown so much, Mark. Within 14 days of the shutdown, our entire data network capacity had to grow to support over 47% increase. That's almost like building half a network on top of the network that you have.
But you saw recently, I was finally myself taking a vacation, and I use Digicel, and my entire Digicel network crashed on me, and I almost went crazy for like about maybe 5 hours.
Yeah.
And I actually had to go and find a Flow Wi-Fi just by chance. That was an open thing. So I mean, it comes back to the point that data now is so important.
Yeah, people see it as air now. I mean,
right, and so what I mean is that with the importance of data, even if your voice business is down, have you found that the data business can compensate, or is what you said earlier, Stephen, about the per capita income? Is it that it's an affordability issue to get your revenues back up, on the data side?
I think on that side, data is continuing to grow, and we can't stop that train. That train has left the gate already. The reality is, it's going to continue to grow and grow and grow more, and we are actually accelerating it. Even all the telecoms players are trying to accelerate that as much as possible, because we know the voice business is in structural decline.
But what I mean is, can you give us a stat? Like during COVID, has data maybe doubled? Has it tripled? Like has a bandwidth exploded?
I told you. I mean, 47% was, and that's just on the fixed side. On the mobile side, it has increased upwards of 60%. So there's a lot more of a...
Is that kind of like year over year?
That's year over year, believe it or not. And I mean, and for most networks globally, you plan for increases of somewhere around 10%, and you build out your capex to support that.
So is that, did you have that excess capacity, or is it causing you to build more?
We had to build. We definitely had to build to support that. I mean, we rolled out somewhere around over 50 plus sites. We increased our off-island capacity to support that. There's so much things that we have done, and we continue to do on a day-to-day basis, inclusive of the Blue Home program that we've actually launched.
So having like a liberty now as a parent, is this putting you in a major advantage, you think, being in Jamaica, the Caribbean?
I think so.
Like with the deep pockets?
Yeah, man, I think so. I mean, they are investing where the return on investment is, and Jamaica is a market that continues to grow. I mean, we've continuously grown year on year over the past 3 years, probably about maybe an average of 6 to 8%, which is good revenue growth, especially in telecoms, where you can't necessarily try and take a dominant position in the customer's wallet. But we've continued to grow, and even this year, at the end of this year. I mean, Mark, we were down because of the hospitality business and enterprise and less mobility. But we will exceed year-on-year revenue by the end of this year.
And on that point, I mean, when you say hospitality, like how has tourism and let's say the pandemic impacted you? I mean,
no, I would say there has been major contraction. I mean, in the first 2 months, I mean, we were reducing contracts for many customers out there because hotels were closed.
Oh, like a hotelier asking for like deferring payment or just canceling
or canceling, etc.
Okay.
So we went through that, you know, and but fortunately, I mean, there are some players who have really stuck with it, and we're working with them in partnership just to make sure we unlock some other possibilities. We work with some operators, especially during the time, to see how we could actually provide them business, and some BPOs use some hotel facilities during the time to give themselves social distancing to allow for greater spacing with their employees to support that industry. But the B2C business has really helped to compensate. More and more persons because of work from home, more and more persons because of education of the children have taken on more internet packages. It has compensated somewhat, hasn't really taken up the whole slack, right? But we have had serious growth in that period, and I think that redounds to anybody in the industry right now, right across the globe.
And is Flow the leader in the market share now, Stephen?
I think we are the leader in the fixed business in terms of broadband. We aren't the leader in mobile, but we're chipping away at market share slowly.
Do you think it's very close between the both of you, or is it?
I think in the fixed we are ahead by a mile, I'd say. On the mobile side, we still command somewhere around 34% market share, and we're looking to take more because we believe that the market can continue to grow. Yeah.
Do you think a Jamaican views Flow as being sexy again, or it's kind of coming up the curve?
I think the average Jamaican will also have some legacy memories of just the monopoly days. And there's a set of customers who hold that true, that boy, they will never change, etc. But this business has totally evolved. Nobody who's here now was there then. You understand what I mean? We've actually changed the business and continued to remodel and just restructure and create a business that's sustainable, a business that's growing, a business that has people who are believing again that it can become a powerhouse once again. And we're continuing to grow. And there's so many smart people that we have on our team. I feel eternally blessed because of the team that I have, the team that I lead, because every single one of them shows up every single day. I mean, even through this COVID period here, you know, I have 70% of my staff population are working from home right now. Really? And we'll continue to work from home into next year. And even next year when we decide to open back offices, they'll have the flexibility of being able to work from home or work in the office.
How do you manage that? Is that Zoom or Microsoft Teams? Or
we use Microsoft Teams for the most part.
Okay.
But the thing is, we aren't an organization that was a stranger to that, you know. We always conducted meetings by that means, and we were embracing technology long before. If we weren't a technology company that was doing that, then I mean, we'd be people would say, "Huh? Why are you guys not doing it?" But we have embraced that long ago, and so much so we socialize there.
Yes.
We work there, and we continue to plan and develop all our strategies there. You know.
And are you looking at, you know, a few companies, not many, but a few companies have come out early and said, you know, they won't be going back to head office, or they're going to have to downsize all this real estate space. Is that a realistic boardroom discussion for you, or management team discussion for you with efficiencies as yet?
It is a realistic discussion globally for us. I think for us, what we want to do is make sure that we speak to our teams. We make sure they understand exactly where they're at and what they are doing. So we'll have a couple of options open to employees, where you can potentially work 100% from home, where you can work probably 70%, you can work 40%. It depends on them. It's an agreement between the manager and the employee to see how they go. But we do encourage that.
Okay.
I know we've been doing a lot of innovative stuff in that space. You know that we've done paternity leave.
Okay, I didn't know.
whereby we're
Okay.
offering paternity leave for mothers, fathers, surrogate parents, adoption, you know, and we're taking on these kind of progressive policies because we know our people and we are a people-centric organization. It's only through them that we're going to continue to grow and really continue to build Jamaica and build technology in the country.
Fantastic. That's one of your 3 C's. That's good.
Yeah.
And we take our final break on Business Live Extra. Stay with us. Welcome back to Business Live Extra. We're talking to Mr. Stephen Price, Country Manager, Flow Jamaica. Under his leadership, Flow successfully launched the first interactive in-store bill payment kiosk to reduce queues and customer waiting times. He also has a strong record of community service and the director of the Cable and Wireless Charitable Foundation. Stephen is also a VP of the American Chamber of Commerce in Jamaica. Let's go back to our conversation. Stephen, besides Flow, you know, probably customer service, call centers and so forth, is Flow in the BPO business separately now?
No, we aren't. We have an incubator in Montego Bay, and that's something that we work with the BPIAG on, so that when investors come into the country to try and test the market, they have a space that they can actually set up a small operation to see how it goes, and then usually very quickly they graduate from that kind of space.
Okay.
So we're in it from that perspective. Probably in a year we'll probably look to do another one in the corporate area, just to also help and foster that kind of growth in the industry.
Oh, that's fantastic. Any plans to be any diversification strategies just based on the government stance and the sector movement?
I think for us what we have to recognize is that this business is going to be a data-driven business moving forward. I think for us, the lines between mobile, fixed, voice, and broadband, they're blurring now. You know, customers don't see technology as how we see it in the telecom space or the technology space. They see experiences. They see either in-home or out-of-home, at work or out of work. So I think that's where we're going. And I think what we're trying to do now, as you probably can see with our latest campaign, is we're bringing all services together. Right? Whether you want, you may have seen some of these things from the T-Mobiles and those ads from the AT&Ts of this world, Verizons, etc. But we're bringing everything together in one product. We are the only organization that can provide you that on an island-wide basis, and we're really pushing that, especially over these Christmas holidays, just to make sure that every Jamaican takes a piece of that experience in terms of bringing them all together. So typically what we do is sell bundles in terms of what we call do-it-all bundles. And really that's what it's about. It's about doing it. Customers don't care about whether it's this, which is speed, it's that. They just want to be able to do it when they need to do it.
Right.
And so we created those bundles, and we give customers the options to add actual mobile packages to it in terms of mobile fixed voice, mobile voice. And what we do is we halved the subscription on that, and we put that all together in one plan. You can get one bill, and it's an amazing experience. Customers, since we've launched last week, have been signing up, and it's an incredible product for us moving forward. Fixed mobile convergence is the future, you know, where your phone rings at home, it can ring on your mobile, those kind of things. And this is the kind of platform that we're actually putting together so that our customers are just virtually connected. No matter the space, their number follows them. They're able to keep in contact with their customers. And I think that's just where the world is going. Right. We know we see TV as a business. Is subscriber TV going to last? It still has a strong place because even in COVID, it grew. It actually grew. But we know that the advent of streaming services, the Netflix, the Hulus, the Amazons, the Peacocks of this world, that this is more and more where our customers are going, and we have to meet our customers where they are, in their tastes, in their demands, and everything.
Do you see Flow going into anything like that, or just it's going to stay as just a kind of pure play, you know, data, voice, kind of core business company?
I think the reality for us, we have to embrace digital in every shape or form. Some you can do by doing it yourself, in terms of building the entire infrastructure yourself, or some you do by partnership. And I think partnership has a place in this kind of world, especially for a company like ours in the Caribbean and Latin America. Yes, we do have friendships just with the wider Liberty family in terms of Liberty Media, in terms of the things that we could potentially tap into, but we rather go the route of partnership in terms of how we develop along that path. I think there's so much that's coming down the pipeline for business, especially in the enterprise side. We have a lot of things that we're coming with in the near future that I really can't give you a sneak peek on just yet, but some things that are really groundbreaking that will help to shape small business, help to shape just the workforce on a whole. You look at things like the BPIJ, they want to have an industry that has about at least 50,000 persons. They want business processing, yeah. Right. They want to have 50,000 persons in Jamaica employed in industry. How we get there is not through brick and mortar in terms of building these massive call centers. It's by allowing them to work from home. You know, and I think that's a new thrust that we have to do, and that's why we are continuing to ensure that we build new homes on a monthly basis. I mean, this year will probably be a record. We'll probably at the end of this year build about 70,000 new homes in the country, which is unheard of across the Caribbean, and it's something that we're very proud of, and proud that we've been able to respond, especially during this COVID period, toward Jamaican consumer. We're going to continue that thrust.
So Stephen, you know, we talk about, you know, Flow, CW, Jamaica, and Liberty. You know, what's the whole structure like? I mean, are the board meetings in Jamaica, or are they overseas, or
they're virtual right now? I mean, but normally
that's a good answer.
They're virtual. But remember, we still have an entity, Cable & Wireless Jamaica here, and we have a board here.
So you do
in Jamaica. So we do have a local board meeting for that side of it. If you understand how we're structured here in Jamaica, actually, there's Cable & Wireless Jamaica. There's still Colombo, still an entity that exists. But we have a board for the Cable & Wireless Jamaica.
What's the difference between Flow and CW Jamaica?
Flow is our trading brand.
It's just a brand.
It's a trading brand for everything.
Okay.
So our business is a part of Cable & Wireless Communications, which looks after Cable & Wireless networks and the clusters right across the Caribbean, inclusive of Panama. And then Liberty Latin America sits on top of that and has really three main buckets. The Cable & Wireless Communications Group, and also has VTR in Chile, which is a huge business. And then we have Liberty Puerto Rico, which also is in charge of Cabletica in Costa Rica. So it's a growing business. And obviously we just completed the AT&T acquisition in Puerto Rico. So it's going to become a larger business and continue. And I know the business is continuously looking at other mergers and acquisitions around. We're even looking at smaller players, especially in the outsourced kind of industry. We bought a recent business in Cayman in terms of IT outsourcing. And that's working, and it's kind of the strategy in terms of consolidating. We have to more change the page now in terms of not being known as a company that only does the bandwidth, right? We're going to be known in the future as a company that provides solutions, end to end, and that's where we're going and modeling our business to make sure we respond to enterprise, but as well selling experiences to our B2C consumers.
And the trading or the brand as we know it today, this is here to stay. We're not going to get another change.
There's no other change.
There's no other change coming
right now. We are part of the Liberty Latin America group.
Okay.
And that's our employer brand. But our trading and consumer brands are Flow and Cable & Wireless business.
So you know, we see the service trucks, you know, or the highest buses, minibuses. We see the guys, Flow shirts, retail stores, Flow.
Yeah.
They all look good. But what can you tell us? What's the marketing strategy going forward? I mean, what's gonna happen to make it, you know, just very cool?
I think the thing is we are making sure that we understand our brand identity. Our brand identity is a solid partner for the future, and the reality is we continue to make sure that you know as a consumer that we're a trusted partner in your home. We're a trusted partner in the field in business. And we're going to continue to push down that road. I think everything figures it out itself in terms of as the brand evolves, in terms of as the society evolves, in terms of the various ages coming into being, in terms of Gen Z, all these things coming into being, they're going to have a different appreciation for the brand. Generation X and Y particularly had a different experience with the brand and still hold some of those things true, but it has been evolving ever since. We are now cooler, we're now fresher, we're not your grandfather's business. We are a new business led by bright minds who are really focused on making sure that we keep the consumer connected, we keep them up to date with the coolest products, we keep them up to date with the best technology, and we provide the best service at the end of the day. You know, I think for us as an evolution, there are things that are coming down the pipeline that we definitely can't ignore. We can't ignore 5G. 5G is something that definitely in the future we'll have to look at as a business because it's something that our customers will demand. They're seeing it advertised on their cable stations on a day-to-day basis. So that's something that we have to look at in the future. It's not something that's immediate because we have to get the regulatory environment in place in order to do that. And even with that, that in itself is also a potential answer for rural areas in terms of being able to provide high-speed broadband in a number of locations.
So would you say, Stephen, it's a different strategy than, you know, kind of it's more measured, or, you know, as compared to what we've seen in telecom before, which is just do the coolest kind of marketing strategy, kill them with marketing strategies, dance all ads, even if the service is not necessarily ready.
I think you can't do that anymore. You can't fool me once, fool me twice. You understand what I mean? The consumer is not an idiot. You can't just put lipstick on a pig. So what we've been doing.
So you want to get the product right.
Exactly.
The service right.
We have to get the product right. And just from my experience, Mark, I've come from a customer care experience. I know right now it's not where I would want it to be. You know, and we're doing the things right now to make sure that we get it right. And first and foremost is the technology, right? Improving the technology week on week, month on month, day on day. We're overbuilding fiber, copper networks right across the country. So I mean, at the end of the day, as I said, in 3 years, we will have no copper in this network. It will just be fiber and HFC. On top of that, we're going to continue to grow our LTE network. We're going to make sure every single pocket out there is filled and continue to provide that. But on the process and people side, we're working to make sure that we deliver for the customers. Customers complain that, yes, we don't get through every time we call Stephen. So, I mean, what you're saying is one thing, but we're not getting that kind of experience. COVID has been one of those great equalizers, I would say. And demand has increased, call volumes have increased. People being at home and experiencing services more and more, interacting with it, get to understand there are little nuances and challenges that they do have. We are working to make sure that we serve our customers better in terms of getting the workforce that's there. In fact, by the end of this year, we'd have added somewhere in the region of another 130 or 140 jobs to our call center in terms of making sure that they're serving the customers even better. And hiring post-COVID, that's a no-no for most businesses, but we're making sure we do the investment. We're making sure that we get more technicians on the road, so that's more jobs as well in the economy.
And you know, besides the handsets and the hardware, I mean, any tablets, you know, via Flow at this point, or something that you're looking into?
No, certainly.
To handle the nation's issues?
Tablets is something that's where we're definitely going to be in. By the time this has aired, we would have launched a brand new program for our whole FMC thrust in terms of making sure that tablets are available for customers who sign up with us on those packages in terms of bringing it all together in terms of mobile, everything. We could get tablets as low as $3,999. On the other side, we will have tablets available for mobile-only customers in terms of customers who want to just use LTE. And we'll have some attractive payment plans which will allow them to pay for it over 12 months and have the data to utilize as well. So we're coming with some attractive packages for consumers, especially in the tablet arena. So look out for that.
It's great to hear, Stephen. Jamaica needs it.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Yep. That's it for another edition of Business Live Extra. We've been talking to Mr. Stephen Price, Country Manager, Flow Jamaica and CW Business Jamaica. Don't forget, you can watch us online at cvmtv.com/business. Thanks for joining us.